This is week 12 or lesson 12 in book D. This is just, we just have a solo. At first glance, this looks like there's a lot going on here, but really, I don't want you to all this black to intimidate you. It's really the same measure being repeated over and over again for the first 3 of each line. The last one is just slightly different, but not hard. And it's the same measure over and over again. The only difference is the second one goes from this is 1-3, and this is 1-5, and back to 1-3 again, figure numbers. So, and then the left hand is super easy too. It's just the fifths. It's the fifth here from G to D. And now, what makes this tricky, think of the picture here. What's making this tricky is the left hand and right hand are both going up. This is lifting at the end of each slur because there's a slur there. And then these are coming up because we have a staccato. So with staccato, we play more finger too. We press a little harder with that finger to get that nice and fast. So the child you feel a little bit more with the staccato. With this is more of a rolling feeling, but it needs to come up. We have a rest, which is helpful after a slur, then come down on the staccato. This chord is the same all the way through. It's all the way through except for that last measure. So when you go home to practice this, practice the right hand first, and then we're going to add the left hand last. But we want to add the right hand first, and I would just have them practice this. Just do that. And then add the fifth here, and then third. So have them just do that over and over again. Keep their eyes here so that they're coding it too into their fingers. They can look at their fingers at first, but then they don't really need to look at their fingers for this. It's just thirds and fifths. And then as soon as they can do this and feel really comfortable with that, add the third there, the third chord, which is fingers 4 and 2, and it's 4 and 2 all the way through. So it's going to sound like this. Make sure that they're putting the rest in there. It's not as important to get the rest perfect when they're just doing the right hand. So don't worry about the rhythm quite so much in the beginning, because these two may sound the same. That's okay, because once we put the left hand in, that rhythm will work itself right out. So once they've learned that measure, this is exactly the same measure. This is the same. And then these two are the same. But the way that these two are only different by that one note, by that middle note in that little motif of notes here. So it's, go to a third, then to a fifth. So once you learn this, essentially you really have this learned. And now looking ahead, this is the same as this. And this is the same as this. We're moving into a different position. But if you want to really take this apart and think about how this can work, this is the very same fingering, the very same melody. As long as they don't look at their hands, they're not going to be able to tell that they're in a different position. It's just that the pitch is a little bit lower because their fingers, if you've got the muscle memory here, you can do that and you can do that. It's already learned. I would spend 3 or 4 days doing just these two measures, just this. If you can spend 4 days doing this can be learned quickly, the transitions in the last measure. So I wouldn't even worry too much about having them play much more than these two. Once they get that down, they're good. They're good on this one. So how does this work? How can this be the exact same when we're moving around? Because normally things don't sound the same when you change notes. Well, look at these 5. And do you remember that we can't tell what the names of the white keys are unless we look at the black? Well, look at the black. The black keys between our high and our low notes are a pair right there plus 1. And we have no black key right there. So if you just look at the pattern here, it's 2 and 1, 2 and 1, and then look at it down here. 2 and 1. This is in C position, 2 and 1. It's the same thing. So between our low and our high, we have the same thing, 2 and 1, and that's why the fingering is exactly the same. You don't have to explain that to the child, but for the parent, it just makes it a lot easier. It's just tell them it's the same thing, it's the same fingering, and it'll work. So we start with mezzo forte, then we go to piano. This section's a little quieter, and then this is back to G position where we play forte. So we're starting here, we're moving here, then we're going down here, and then of course this hand goes up. We're going down, and then we finish back in C position. So as we play it, it goes here, and this is how you do pieces like this. Unless you see a repeat sign with the 2 dots, play from start to finish until you get to the instructions. Once you play to the instructions, you read the instructions and do what it tells us. And it's telling us DS means go to that sign. So when you see that sign there, go there and play to the fine. DS al fine. So sign to the fine. So play, sign, play, 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 play to the fine. So really what you're really doing is you're just playing it once, then you're repeating that section again. That's a very common sign. So I'm going to go ahead and play it now so you can watch the jumps. We're doing these jumps the same way, where the eyes need to look ahead and we need to look at the keyboard to find out what that next location is. Notice here the shift is before this. It's not up here, it's actually, we shift and then play that here. So our left hand's already ready, so this is an easy jump. This is just the same as what we did in the My Computer, which is the G and the C, except we have a little staccato there. Then we have a rest, which is really helpful as we fix our hands to go to this low G position. So our eyes, and then our eyes, and then we play. So here's what the whole piece sounds like, and obviously I'm playing this faster than what you should at home. Have a fun week. I hope you enjoy that one.